Good morning. Good to see you in Carmel.
Good morning.
It's great to get a chance to talk about a movie that follows up on one of my absolute favorite films, not just in the world of animation, but I remember when How to Train Your Dragon came out, and I was running around the world talking about, it was one of the very finest movies of the year, one of the best written movies of the year, and very happy to see that that tradition continues, those characters continue. What about the aging up and the challenges that you guys faced in continuing the story of Hiccup and these other characters, but it's 5 years later?
Yes, it's 5 years later. That was one of Dean DeBlois, who is the director and writer of the second film. That was one of his primary conceits for the film, that it would be, his idea is that there would be 3 movies that would tell the story of Hiccup and Toothless and their coming of age, and this second film would almost be the second act in this story. But it takes place 5 years later, so we had to age up our main characters, and we can talk a little bit more about how challenging that was.
Yeah, I mean,
It is challenging, specifically when you're dealing with characters that are loved, by the public. So there is a lot of design, involved in this, and changing their appearance as well.
Right.
Redesigning completely their outfit to really sell the idea that they're getting older.
And John, is the music, is that something that the idea of 5 years later, I mean, that seems like an impossible thing to nail down, at least conceptually for me, how you step into a world you've been in and find new, what is it you find? So.
Well, the two things are, was the score going to mature itself, along with the characters? So a whole bunch of new tunes got written, and I definitely tried to give them inherently a more mature sound. Perhaps orchestrationally as well, I did a little bit of that. But one of the main things we did in discussion with everybody is we got everything within the first 6 minutes from the old film out of the way. So every theme, every motif that happened in the first film is reintroduced and kind of done with by the end of 6 minutes. And then once we meet our new aged main characters, that's when the new score starts, really.
When you read through this, were you smacking your lips about any particular one that you said, boy, I can't wait to get my mitts onto that one?
I always approach every film with fear, trepidation, and a general feeling that everything will be a complete failure on my part.
I think it's how we all go into everything. So.
I mean, you were asking earlier about how do things start. Well, the music starts with a spotting session, and we basically sit with the movie in whatever form it is, and some of it was very finished and some of it was still storyboards at that point. And you just go right through the movie, and I'll say what I think should be there. Dean will explain things to me, and we just talk all the way through it. And I remember at the end of this spotting session, I remember you and Bill Damashki and Dean were smiling, very happy, and they were very pumped up about everything that we'd discussed. And as they left, I remember thinking, damn it, I've got to do it now. So, everything I've promised them. Yeah.
You said all the right things in the room.
Yeah, and it's easy to say,
now I got to go to work.
Now I got to do it.
Bonnie, I think everybody that's ever watched a DVD or Blu-ray of an animated film has looked at some of the extras, and you see the voice talent in the studio, and they're speaking into a mic, and that's it. And that's what we see and know of how the voice work happens. What is perhaps least understood or most misunderstood about working with voice talent?
Well, I think it definitely is more challenging because they are in a studio behind a microphone in a booth, and they're not involved or part of the crew on an everyday basis. But I think Dean and I feel similarly that that's not the way to necessarily get the best performance out of them. And I think we feel like we hire the best people or the best choice in the cast in order to help inform who that character is. And I think the more information they have, Dean actually sits out with them and reads with them. We spend time talking with them. I spend time in between the times that we see them in the recording booth to let them know what's happening on the film, especially for some of the key characters who, again, Jay Baruchel, Jerry Butler, Kate Blanchett, Dean lets them read the whole, they read the whole script, even though it changes, and gets their feedback about their character and lets them ad-lib certain things. And then the interesting thing about animation, that's really only part of the performance.
Right.
The rest of the performance comes from the animator.